During this last lesson, we will take a look at the sport activities to which an athlete with autism can take part to. Along with the normal weekly program of the Progetto Filippide, we will see how much these activities contribute to their social inclusion through the sport. We already know that autism is characterized by stereotype patterns of interests and activities. So for a person with autism, daily and weekly habits are a safe place in a world that they would otherwise find difficult to understand. This leads to strong addictions to these routines, but make the sports practice one of them can actually become an healthy and inclusive part of those. The daily activities of the Progetto Filippide represent an healthy and effective habit for thousands of athletes with autism through Italy. In recent years, swimming, synchronized swimming for people with Down syndrome, but always in open and inclusive context, and some team specialties as basketball have been added to the activities of the Progetto Filippide. But among the disciplines practiced, running is for sure the most important one of the sport that accompanied the athletes of Progetto Filippide since its birth, as name itself suggests. The natural features of running make it the most widely practiced specialty and make it one of the most suitable sports for people with autism. Progetto Filippide is one of the meritorious associations of the Italian Paralympic Committee. It's part of the United Nations organizations and associated to the Italian Sports Federation for Intellectual and Relational Disabilities. But in spite of this, Filippide participates in sport events and competitions organized by the neurotypical and not disabled sport federations. And by doing this, it makes them open to all. For an autistic person, these occasions represent the chance to measure themselves with others, and at the same time, they provide opportunities to integrate in their routines new and different experiences and promote their active participation in a sporting context as athletes like anyone else. Every year, Filippide organize and promote the Run for Autism. That is a unique event held in Rome entirely dedicated to autism. But our athletes also compete in other important events or sport competitions, such as the Miguel's Run, the Rome Marathon, and the Half Marathon Roma Ostia. I would like to underline again this important matter. Each of our athletes train with his or her operator to fit into context open to everyone, not only with the other disabled users. They train exactly like everybody else does, and they can compete with neurotypical athletes. Running is the sport activity that characterized Filippide from the very beginning, and as time passed by, it proved itself to be the most effective and suitable activity to meet the characteristics of a person with autism, even more if the user has severe diagnosis. This is because of several important peculiarities that the activity of running has. First of all, running and walking as well is one of the two natural modes of the transportation for humans. In fact, running is one of the first repetitive and stereotype gestures that we learn in our first years of life. Regardless of our health condition, each one of us have a way of moving around space. And this is exactly why running has proved to be one of the most effective sports activities in a person with autism. It reproduces a repetitive gesture in a healthy and functional way. The athletes with the most serious impairment are the ones who benefit more from running. It gives them the unique opportunity to achieve two fundamental goals at the same time. They channel a source of energy in certain people kite a large amount of energy into a sport activity, reducing all the risks connected to not having the possibility to express that strength that can be potentially dangerous. And it also let them train like everybody else does, so that they can express themselves like true athletes among the others. This is another crucial feature that makes running perfectly fitting with the world of autism. It can be practiced pretty much everywhere and with anyone. We tend to think that running is an individual sport, and when we strictly talk about the performance, that can be considered true. But when we get to the street or track, we realize that we run among other people. We run together with others. And the feeling to belong to a group is strongly simulated through running. At the starting or finishing line of a marathon, it's virtually impossible to tell if someone has autism or not. When we run, we are all on the same level. There are no distinction between one another. And this is made possible by the sport the operator work as guide, as an adapter, as a facilitator. From a social point of view, running becomes a unique opportunity for emancipation for a person with severe autism. It helps to achieve what has been called the Forrest Gump effect. Do you remember that scene of the movie when Forrest Gump starts to run around the United States? An action so simple and yet powerful that gradually generates more and more interest until they are hooked to what is happening and they become aware of that phenomenon. Over the years, this is exactly what happened to the athletes of the Progetto Filippide. They have won this attention from the rest of the world, and this must be preserved and hopefully expanded over time, so that we can create always more integrated and inclusive approaches. Let's now consider running from a medical point of view. It is very well known that physical activity in general, and the endurance disciplines in particular, contributes to improve health and well-being on both psychological and physiological levels. Working out promotes the elimination of stress-related hormones, such as cortisol, and it simulates the production of hormones and substances related to well-being and mood control, such as endorphins and serotonin. Serotonin, in particular, is strictly responsible for controlling aggression, and it regulates the affective and emotional feeling of someone. Therefore, it helps to improve both the physical and the behavioral conduct in an autistic person. We will talk about the impact that running has had on autistic person during our face-to-face meeting, when I'll tell you the story of Gianluca, one of our most distinguished athletes. Participating to a sport event means sometimes the need to travel and do business trip. This is a normal and obvious experience for all of us, but could be a complete overhaul and fixed and solid routine for someone who is on the spectrum. When we travel, the environment changes. There are new people around, different settings, timetables. The usual activities are replaced with others. You sleep in another bed, far from home. The daily rhythms are completely different from the usual. These are potentially stressing situations, but they are also great opportunities for a personal growth that simulates social and relational skills, always using sport as a concrete tool to achieve all this. During a day different from the others, the sport activity is something that recalls a familiar routine. The familiar routine, sorry. These are also useful opportunities for the operator to observe, interact, and work with the athlete in a different context, where there's much more time to spend together, and he or she can intervene on different aspects related to the daily life of an autistic person. Another important event that takes place every September is the sport retreat held in Umbria, in Italy. That when we met after the summer to start training again together in preparation for new sporting year, exactly like all the major league teams does. But in order to be ready for such event, we should collect more information as possible about our athlete from both the family and the other context in which the user lives his or her everyday life. This can help us make his or her stay less stressful possible and gives him or her the chance to truly enjoy it. We need to know their habits through the day, from the moment she or he wakes up until bedtime. If there are routines that we need to follow in the morning, which are the medication they take and when, if there are food that they love or hate, or the general behavior in a specific situation. Again, communication, observation, and interaction are the keys to make every experience easier and effective. Sometimes it could be not enough through. We can analyze a situation and prepare what we think is the most useful approach, but then something changed and we need to do everything from scratch because the path we could follow is not the right one. So we have to start over again. It's a long and complex journey, which means that probably the most important of all the skills that an operator should have is nothing else but patience and along with modesty. You need patience because the results are not always immediate. It could take years to see progress in someone. You should be able to wait to see the fruits of our works to blossom. And you need the modesty as well to be able to accept the defeat and negative reaction to what without what was the best solution. And you should be able to question yourself. In my experience, I can tell you that every step, even the one that seems to take you in the opposite direction, is needed to achieve goals that are way beyond or understanding at the moment. With competence and dedication, we can achieve with our athletes way bigger results than we thought we could in the first place. I hope it was all as clear. Feel free to contact us for any clarification or further information. You will find attached to this lesson all materials you will need. Thank you very, very, very much for your attention. Thank you for this chance, and we will see soon. Bye-bye.